Hey everybody, welcome back to another exciting adventure in What Are We Doing in Biology? So today I'm going to go over lesson 6 and what you need to do and some things that I saw when I was going through people's work, okay? So we first started off with our P53 gene mini quiz, which is kind of a review from last unit. And then talks about what's going on. So I wrote about this, like this kind of stuff over here. I wrote these things before you guys started. To kind of help you get started to see what you're supposed to do. So P53 is a gene that plays a role in regulating apoptosis, in suppressing tumors, in regulating the cell cycle, which is a fancy word for mitosis, and in stopping the cell from dividing when mutations occur. But what happens if the P53 gene itself is mutated? Okay, so we're going to do normal P53. We're first going to write the complementary DNA. Okay, so because it's DNA, it's going to have T's instead of U's. Okay, so we're going to do A pairs with T, T pairs with A, G pairs with C, and C pairs with G, all the way down the line. Okay, there are no U's in this section. Then we're going to do RNA, and so we're going to do transcription, which is what we did last unit. So now there are U's. Okay, now in this section there are no T's. Oh Lord. Okay, in this section there are no T's. So we have T goes with A goes with U, C goes with G, and G goes with C. Okay, and then the last one, we're going to do translation of codons into amino acids. Now, if you did not have a codon chart, it was really easy to just Google one. You can just Google a codon chart. Next time, I'll remember myself to put a codon chart over on the side here. So don't worry. If I give you another thing like this, I will give you a codon chart. So sorry about that. Hopefully you were able to Google it, or maybe you had the one we used in class. It was yellow. All right, so now we have met, illy, alla, ser, alla, asp, asin, lu, glin, and stop. Okay. Then we're going to do the mutant P53 gene. Okay, so remember this first line is going to be DNA. So there's no U's. The second line is going to be messenger RNA. So yes, U's, and the last line is going to be amino acids, just like we did before. Now we can see if we're just even looking at our bases, just at the first top that I gave you, I can see that this one is an A and this one is a G. So there's my mutation. Okay, and everything else is the same. So this one's wrong, this one's wrong, this one's wrong, and this one's wrong. Okay, so if you remember from before, this is a missense mutation, which means that just one amino acid is different and it did not turn into the stop codon. Okay, so it says, what happened to P53? I said there was a substitution in the second to the last DNA triplet from CAG to CGG. So these are the ones that changed. This changes the complementary DNA and the mRNA codons. And the resulting amino acid is ARG instead of glin. And so it's a missense mutation. Okay, then I said, what would happen to the cells as a result? What would happen if the P53 gene didn't do its job correctly? So we know that its job, according to up here, its job is to regulate apoptosis, or help the cell kill itself if it's damaged, to suppress tumors, and to regulate the cell cycle. Okay, so if those things are not working, if the P53 gene isn't working, then we've got a little bit of a problem on our hands. Oops. So now we want to say what would happen if the P53 gene did not do its job correctly. So I said a normal P53 gene helps to regulate cell division and prevents tumor growth. When it's mutated, cancer can happen. Okay, and so that's all we really need to say for that question. Now, then you were supposed to go and do a simulation about the P53 gene and cancer. So it's kind of like a slideshow. It was made by scientists, so there's a lot of intense words there. So you want to go to this website and you want to kind of click through the screens, and it's going to kind of help you out with that. So it's the first question is all about a molecule, a protein, and a gene. If we kind of break that down, we know that a protein is a chain of amino acids. So here's our protein. mRNA and DNA are both molecules, and a gene is a section of just DNA only. Okay, and if we remember from last time, we know that from DNA to mRNA, that's called transcription, and from mRNA to amino acids, that's called translation. Overall, this system is called protein synthesis. Okay, so that's what question 2 is asking you. Where do you remember this diagram from? Hopefully you remember it from the melanin unit when we were looking at mutations that cause albinism. And then it says, what's a polypeptide? A polypeptide is a protein or a chain of amino acids. Right here. Okay. All right. So then after reading the text, we want to describe the 3 types of cancer genes. So we have oncogenes. Okay. Oncology. Onco means cancer. So the oncology department of a hospital deals with cancer patients. Tumor suppressor. Suppression means to push down. Okay. Like if you suppress your emotions, you don't express them. Okay, and then DNA repair genes, those are going to fix our DNA. So I kind of used a couple of metaphors here. So what happens when they're mutated? Cancer genes, if they're mutated, they kind of act like a stuck gas pedal, so like a runaway car. And so the cell is going to continue to grow forever and ever. Tumor suppressor genes, if they're mutated, they're supposed to act like brakes. And if the brakes don't work, obviously we have a out of control car, and in your cells, that means cancer. And then DNA repair genes are supposed to fix stuff like a mechanic. And if the mechanic doesn't work, doesn't do its job right, then your car isn't going to get fixed. Okay. So then number 4 says, if a cell is stressed, p53 normally functions to shut down cell division. What activates it and what does it do? So stress is going to activate it. Okay, a couple of examples of stressful situations to cells are DNA damage. Maybe it's UV radiation or something like that. Low oxygen, because we need oxygen to do respiration. Or chemotherapy, because that's a bunch of chemicals in your body. P53 shuts down cell division when a cell is stressed. And then it activates the gene that stops cell growth and triggers apoptosis. So P53 is good. We want it to activate for us when our cells are out of control or our cells are damaged, okay? Because it's kind of like the cancer fighting gene. Okay, its structure or its shape, we've got 3 parts. We have the transactivation domain, and so that basically allows it to activate other genes, like we talked about in this question, and recruits RNA polymerase to start transcription. Remember, you can't make proteins without transcription. The DNA binding domain, that's going to allow P53 to bind to genes in order to do its job. And then the complexing domain kind of holds everything together like the glue. Okay. Then we have transcription factors. A transcription factor is a protein that regulates the activity of other genes. Okay. And so if it's kind of in charge almost, right? So a transcription factor basically says, yes, you're turned on, no, you're turned off, etc., etc. It's kind of like the director. Why is the complexing domain so important? That's because a single P53 molecule isn't functional. It needs all 3 parts. Okay. Then we have to say, how does it work once it's been activated? So it binds to a specific sequence of DNA to activate a particular gene. We know that from our melanin unit, right? It doesn't fit, okay, like the codons don't fit unless they're the right shape, or enzymes don't work unless they're the correct shape, okay? And then the genes of P53 activate control of the cell cycle and apoptosis. So, summarize what we learned. On slide 1, we learned that P53 gene is mutated in about half of all cancers. This is bad. So explain how and why a mutated P53 gene can lead to cancers. So if P53 is mutated, there are no brakes on cell growth and division. It cannot bind to DNA to activate transcription and translation and the genes that control the cell cycle and apoptosis. Okay, so basically out of control growth and division, we know that this is tumors. So tumors will be allowed to grow if there is no P53. All right, then you had your animal assignments. So you had to look for your name and see which animal you were going to do. And then you are going to want to do one of these worksheets. So you're either going to do the elephant sheet, the naked mole rat sheet, the sea lion sheet, Tasmanian devil sheet, or axolotl sheet. Okay, I'm not going to go over those because I think those are pretty self-explanatory. If you need some help, let me know. Then you were supposed to do your group CER. So once you were done, you were supposed to add some stuff to your group's CER. Okay, so let's go over that together real quick. Okay, so we had described 2 mechanisms that animals have evolved to enhance cancer resistance. Okay, so basically what that means is that these situations make it so that they have less cancer. And these situations happen when there's more cancer. Okay, so we've got for less cancer, we have contact inhibition. That was the naked mole rat. And we had the P53 gene. This was elephant. And for more cancer, we had viral infections, like the sea lions, and exposure to stressors, which are Tasmanian devils. And Tasmanian devils also had some sort of like weird genetic issue too. So they're kind of both in both. And then the driving question we wanted to ask and answer is, how can human cancer patients potentially benefit from the study of different cancer rates in other animals? And so I would say definitely, yes, you should have put something about more research, more possibilities for treatment. We could use some sort of gene, like genetic modification to help bodies kind of fight it themselves. Evidence from each animal. For elephant, you should have said something about P53. Naked mole rats all about contact inhibition. Sea lions are about viruses and pollutions. And Tasmanian devils are all about infectious cancers. And axolotls, if you had one of those people, is all about stem cells. And then you should explain your reasoning. This is the science part. Make sure you do that. And then we have our telomeres. So this is our last part. So a telomere is going to be kind of like a cap. Okay, it kind of looks like a cap at the end of a chromosome, and over time it gets less and less and less and less and less. So telomeres are going to shorten every time. Eventually, whenever there's no more telomeres, then cell division will stop, aka apoptosis. And then cancer cells are going to keep their telomeres longer because they continue to divide forever. And an advantage of this, of keeping our telomeres, would be to prolong life. But then a disadvantage is that it might increase cancer risks if cells can continue to divide. So this is one of the big problems with immortality. Because usually if someone lives long enough, they're going to have some sort of cell division problem and end up with some sort of cancer. So this is kind of a weird, kind of philosophical question of what happens if you are immortal. Okay, then we have vocabulary, and we have the wrap up and review questions. I am almost out of time though, so you're kind of on your own with this, but I believe you can totally do it. And I'll see you next time.